to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic as the rain teems down again outside. And in fact, in the Sudoku grid itself, it's not the best weather today because this is a fog of war puzzle. You can see, isn't this beautiful? The whole grid is covered in fog except for one cell. Row 9, column 1 is revealed. And this is this new innovation in Sudoku. If you've not seen it yet, you are in for an absolute treat, as am I, because I'm going to get to solve it. But basically, by placing the correct digits in the white cells, you reveal more and more of the actual Sudoku grid. Now, this puzzle is called Foggy Ninefield, and it's by Albin Bernhardsson. And I don't know if I've ever done a puzzle by Albin before. But anyway, the tester, I think this came in very recently. The testers had one look at it and said, no, this is brilliant. Do it. And it seems a weather appropriate day on which to attempt this puzzle. And I will read you the rules in just a moment or two. In fact, while it occurs to me, last night, Mark and I had a long call about the book, which of course we're making, Cracking the Cryptic's Greatest Hits, Volume 2. And fog of war puzzles are probably the only type of puzzles that are totally unsuitable for paper, because of course you need this mechanic whereby placing digits in the grid you reveal more and more of the grid, and it's hard to replicate that on paper. So I'm guessing Foggy Ninefield, however good this puzzle is, Albin, I'm afraid it probably won't be in the book. But what I can tell you about the book, while I'm doing all my preparation for poetry reading and guitar playing, is that the pledge manager over on Kickstarter is open. So I think that allows those of you who supported the book to sort of tailor your orders. I also think it allows anybody out there who wants to get a hold of a copy of the book, who missed the Kickstarter. I think you can order a copy on Kickstarter now. I might be wrong about that, but I think that is true. I'll try and remember to put a link under the video in case any of you are interested. Now, lots of you have been asking when Mark and I are going to be continuing our playthrough of the game Teji, which we streamed for the first time last week. Well, I think it's going to be Friday evening, 10 o'clock UK time. We'd love to have your company for that if you're free. Other than that, there's a few birthdays to do today, which is rather nice. So Bree has turned 33 in Prague. Beautiful city. I've only been there once, but loved it. And Bree, I hope you enjoy the pub quiz this evening in lieu of chocolate cake, which I believe is substandard in Prague. So yeah, enjoy the pub quiz instead. A poor substitute. Jim in Iowa. I know it's your birthday because your girlfriend Kristin wrote to us, and Jim, I'd like to thank you for spreading the CTC gospel. I gather you tell a lot of people that you enjoy our channel, and I am grateful to you for that. And then Zoe, you've turned 24 today, and I know this because your fiance Justin wrote to us, and I gather the two of you are getting married on the 5th of May, so warm wishes from both Mark and me for that day too. And yeah, and that's all the birthdays. And the only other thing to talk about, of course, is the Fistamafel Sudoku Hunt, this great Sudoku event of the century, basically, Fistamofel's first ever Sudoku Hunt, which has been available for our patrons as a Christmas present for the last couple of weeks or so. The competition is now over. So I want to say congratulations to all of you who managed to finish that hunt, especially those of you who managed to finish the final puzzle in that hunt, which was called Ancient Wall. And Fistamafel himself described it as perhaps his masterpiece, with good reason. It is an absolutely amazing puzzle, very, very hard indeed though, and hundreds of you have correctly solved the whole thing, which is phenomenal. I mean, the cleverness of our viewers never ceases to amaze us. And very well done to the following: Lutz Meyer, Chris McNabb, let me get this right, Wiener van Huysen, I think. I hope I've got the pronunciation correct there. Digley, Brother Squirrel, Leppy R64, Kyle Manning, Michael Stranieri, David Bigelow, Mario Buto, Andrew Spicer, Joseph Duncan, Robert Dahlstrom, Stefan Winkel, Jim South and Gwen Kelly. All of you have sent in the correct entry. Very well done. And if you are still battling with the J Dyer hunt, you still have another 9 days to go. And the feedback that hunt's been getting has been terrific as well. So phenomenal stuff going on over on Patreon as always. And in fact, if I'm not, I will just mention this because Mark said he was going to do it. Mark has gone to our PO box, I think this morning, and this is for the first time since Christmas, and he's picked up a whole stack of stuff. So thank you very much to everybody who sent us something in the post, in the snail mail. And Mark has recorded himself opening all of that snail mail. I have not seen this video yet, but he suggested he might put it over there on Patreon so that you guys can see him opening. I guess it's Christmas cards. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's going to be available there very shortly. Now let's get on with Foggy Ninefield by Albin Bernhardsson. And I will read you the rules. Now, before I read you the rules, I have to tell you, do not cheat. So the software which Sven has made is incredibly clever. So if we put the correct digit into cells, it will reveal, so say we got this digit correct, it would reveal the contents of those cells. Now, obviously, I could just attack this puzzle by entering into this cell all of the digits 1 to 9, and I would eventually get the right one and reveal the surrounding contents. That is not how to do the puzzle. Take great care. Do not cheat by putting in either slips of the finger or deliberate cheating. That's not on. Anyway, normal Sudoku rules apply. The grid is covered mostly in darkness. Placing correct digits in cells will illuminate more of the grid. Digits must not repeat within a cage. I can't see any cages at the moment. Digits must not repeat within a cage and must sum to the given total. The given total is always in the uppermost leftmost cell in the cage, i.e. in the normal place it would be in Killer Sudoku. All cells which correctly show the number of adjacent 9s, including diagonally, are marked with circles. Right, so let me just think about that for a moment. So imagine that cell had a circle. Well, in fact, that's a bad example because that could only ever have 1 9 around it. Imagine that cell had a circle. That would be counting up the number of 9s in those cells. I think that's how that works. And all such cells are shown. So what's that saying? That's saying if that cell was a 1 and that cell was a 9, that cell would have to, I don't want to put 1 and 9 in it. I could put it small like this because the software won't think that I'm entering these digits in. So imagine I put a big 1 here in and a big 9 here. Then I think what this rule is saying is that this cell must have a circle, because if it didn't have a circle, the rules of the puzzle would be broken, because all cells which show the correct number of 9s in their adjacent cells must be marked with a circle. And this obviously could only see 1 9 in those cells because you couldn't put 2 9s in a Sudoku box. So, right, so we're going to have to take care. I mean, I suspect that negative constraint is going to be huge because we've got so little information in the grid. And I love these puzzles because they they're little vignettes layered on each other, aren't they? I mean, literally, there is nothing else to do here but study this cell. And with remarkably good timing, actually, I did need to take a call then, so I hadn't started the puzzle, which is a relief, but I did need to take the call. My father is in hospital at the moment, having a knee replacement, but I gather that all has gone well, so I'm very pleased to hear that, and I can now get on with the puzzle without worrying about that in the back of my mind. So I think I'd done the instructions, and we were about to start. Yes, we were about to start. So what I was saying was that you get these, because you only can focus on the white cells. It's like it's a very discrete journey you go on. Like literally, we can only look at this cell at the start. So the way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Let's just focus on this cell, which is a circled cell. Remind me what the circled cell is. All cells Oh, okay, right, yes. So this is a given cell, because what it's doing is it's counting the number of 9s in those 3 cells. Well, there can only be 1 9 in those 3 cells. There can't be 0 9s, I suppose, because that would have to be a 0. So I think we can just write 1 into this cell, and it works. Okay, so there's a 1 in this cell, and there must be a 9, therefore, in one of those cells to make this 1 the correct count. And that looks very well. I don't think you can put 9 in a 13 cage here. You can see this 13 cage. It's coming to this cell. In fact, it can't go any further than that either, because if it did, if it say took that cell as well, I know that a 4-cell 13 cage must have a 1 in it, because in the course of my life, I've learned that 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 equals 14. Yes, I'm a slightly strange man. But so there would have to be a 1 in a 4-cell 13 cage, and there can't be a 1 because of this one here. So we actually know that this is a 3-cell 13 cage, but I know there's not a 9 in that, because if there was, the other 2 digits would have to add up to 4. And they would need to be 1 and 3, given they've got to be different digits, and they couldn't be. So I think we actually are going to be able to write that digit in as well, and we get a revealed 14 cage, or a bit of it, and well, I know the 13 cage is 3 cells, so I guess we do the secret, do we? 22, maybe, yes. What is the secret? I hear some of you ask. Well, there is a secret in Sudoku, and it's something I only tell my favourite people, but of course I'm going to let you know. I'm going to let you in on it. The secret is that any complete row, any complete column, and any complete box of a Sudoku, because of the rules of Sudoku, contains the digits 1 to 9 once each. If you add up the digits 1 to 9, you get 45. So, if I know that those cells add up to 45, but I know those 5 cells add up to 23, then these 4 cells must add up to 22. Now, does that actually... Well, one thing it means is that this 14 cage doesn't curl round like that, because were it to do so, we would be claiming that 14 is the same number as 22, which it's not. So if the 14 cage stops here, then because we know those 4 cells add to 22, that would have to be an 8. Right, and that's actually big. Okay, I can see now. If the 14 cage pokes out, which is its only other option, comes into this cell as well, then those 3 digits would have a maximum value of 13, and that would mean that this would need to be at least a 9. And it can't be a 9, because there's already a 9 here. 13, 26, 36, yeah, that would have to be a 9. Okay, so what we actually now know is that this 14 cage is exactly 3 cells, and this is exactly an 8. Now this is going to do, beaucoup de revealing. Now, a 23 cage in 3 cells must be 6, 8, 9. Well, I need to put a 9 in it, so I'm going to have to put 9 there, more revealing, 6 here. This is going remarkably well. That is a 4-cell 12 cage. I know that it's not more than 4 cells because the triangular number for 5 is 15, i.e. what's 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. So if this cage was any larger, so say it went there, it would have to be adding up to at least 15. So that is a 4-cell 12 cage, and there are only 2 ways of making 12 in 4 cells, 1, 2, 3, 6, and 1, 2, 4, 5. So actually we know there's a 1 and a 2 in this cage. And we might know that there's a 6 up here if we can prove it's a 1, 2, 3, 6 cage. There's got to be a 9 down there, by Sudoku of all things. And somewhat worryingly, that's all I'm seeing. So there's something weird going on. It's going to have to be... Is it these circles again? I've got circles, all circles which correctly show the number of adjacent 9s are marked. Right, so I see that's not able to be a 1. That can't be a 1. I don't want to put it in. Well, I suppose it will be wrong, so it shouldn't reveal anything. But the reason it's wrong to put a 1 here is it would be counting the correct number of 9s in those cells, because there would only be 1. and therefore it should have a circle. So I don't think this is a 1. Do I dare actually put it in? I will do. Yeah, see, it's not right. And therefore that's good. Now, can that one be a 1? The answer is, then we're looking at those cells, aren't we? Well, we can't repeat a 1 here. No, okay, right, I see. So there's a 1 up here. Oh, no, it's clever. Oh, that's very clever. Right, no, I know things. I can write 1 into that 12 cage. That's the key. That's the key. Right, this is really nice. It's very... I love these puzzles because it's you just have to discreetly think about however many cells there are there. So there aren't that many options, and yet the solution to how you can find out more digits, it's not immediately obvious. That is the mark of very good setting, Albin. Right, if this is a 1, would it be counting the correct number of 9s in those cells? And the answer is it would be, because I can't put a 9 here by Sudoku, and I can't put a 9 in a 4-cell 12 cage, because the other 3 digits would then have to add up to 3, and 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is the least I could make them, add up to 6. So neither of those can be a 1, but I think the thing is now, where does 1 go in box 8? And the answer is in one of those 2 cells. So that can't be a 1. And as I try not to sneeze, that's a 1. Oh no! No, it did. It has revealed. I thought it had revealed nothing, but it has revealed the tip of a 7 cage. Oh, right. That's also a beautiful 7 cage. That's lovely. Wow. Okay. Why do I love this 7 cage so much? Well, it's because I know. There's 2 reasons. Firstly, I can see very quickly it's not a domino 7 cage. It's not a 2-cell 7 cage, because were it to be so, what digit would accompany the 1 in the cage? Well, it would be a 6, and that would put 2 6s in box 8. So it's not a 2-cell cage. Now, that means it's a 3-cell cage adding up to 7, which means I know that it's a 1, 2, 4 cage. What would happen if the 3rd cell of this 7 cage was here? Well, then this would be a 1, 2, 4 triple, and you couldn't put 2 at all in my 12 cage. Because those 3 digits, obviously they see those 2 in the same box and they see that in the same column. So this cannot be the end of the 7 cage. That must be the end of the 7 cage. And neither of these cells can be 2, or it would break the 12 cage. So I think that cell is a 2 that's going to reveal all sorts of goodies. And it sort of did. It revealed some things. Hang on, let's tidy all this up now. Oh, beautiful. Right, I love this so far. This cage now hasn't got a 4 in it. So it's not 1, 2, 4, 5. So, in fact, that's a 6, therefore. It must be 1, 2, 3, 6, and the 6 in it must live in that cell, which has just revealed something else. Oh, the 2 must be here, so that's a 3. These squares are now, well, those squares at the bottom must be 5, 7, and 8 by Sudoku. And all sorts of stuff has revealed itself on the right-hand side. There's a 2 in my 13 cage down here by Sudoku. So the other 2 digits in that cage have to either be 5, 6 or 4, 7. Because they must add up to 11 and they can't be 3, 8 or 2, 9. So if it was 4, 7, that would be 7. This would be 2, 4. If it was 5, right, so that cell by Sudoku is 5 or 7. Because we need to put in a digit from this triple in this cage. Because we know it's either 2, 5, 6 or 2, 4, 7. You can see that we either need the 5 or the 7 to live in this cage, and they have to go there. So this domino is either, if this is 5, this has got to be a 2, 6 pair. And if it's 7, it's got to be a 2, 4 pair. So 3 is in the bottom row, is in one of those cells. These are from 1, 4, 5 and 7. Yes, okay, I see. 3 is also therefore in the 14 cage. in box 7. So whatever's not used as our 2 digits summing to 11 in the 13 cage is going to get transposed into the 14 cage, where we also need 2 more digits to add up to 11. Hang about. How is that not circled? Oh, that's rather cool. Okay, well, that cannot have the correct count of 9s in those cells, otherwise it would be circled. So there must, I think, be a 9 in one of those 2 cells, which admittedly isn't doing very much, but it doesn't do anything at all. Okay. Alright, so probably we've got to look at the partial cages that we've got going on in box 9. So, what do we know about that? So we've got sort of the absolute skeleton of a 28 cage, which looks like it's taking that cell. Yeah, okay. I think the 28 cage is that shape. Exactly that shape. And that's because I can see it's taking this cell. Now, if it was taking that cell as well, why would there be this tiny little dottage that I can see there? That wouldn't need to be there if all 4 of those cells were in the same cage. So I think it's got to be that shape. Now, it's not taking this cell, because that cell's clearly part of the 22 cage. So the 22, right, so we know the shape of the 22 cage. It's exactly those 5 cells. And it's not got a 2 in it. So does it need a 1 in it? Maybe. What is 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 added together? That's the question. 3, 4, 5 is 12, 6 and 7 is 13, so that's too many, that's 25. So there is a 1 in this cage. Right, that's huge. I'm just pausing there because that seemed almost too smooth, too cool for school, didn't it? Is that too cool for school to claim that this... Because I can see the 1 would have to be there, and that's going to fix my 1 and my 4. It feels good logic, doesn't it? There definitely isn't a 2 in it. If there was no 1 on it, 3, 4, 5 is too many. Right, so the 1 must be in one of those cells, which places my 1 and my 4 here, which means these squares are from 1, 5 and 7. I am going to claim, perhaps erroneously, that I simply don't believe that can be a 1. Because if that's a 1, surely it's counting the correct number of 9s in those cells, which will be exactly equal to 1. So that can't be a 1. I don't think that can be a 1 by the rules. So I think this is a 1. And it is, and it's got its circles, so that's great. Right, so that's saying there's a 9 in one of those cells. Well, it's not there then. Can we put a 9 in the 22 cage? I've sort of been assuming that's possible, but actually these digits are quite large as well, aren't they? No, you can't. You can't do it. The minimum size of those 2 cells is 12, 5 and 7. That gives 13 once we add the 1 in. If we make that a 9, that's 22. We'd have to make this a 0. So actually, there is a 9 in the corner, which is rather... Well, it's good, but it's not really done anything, has it? So we've definitely got a 3 and a 1 in my 22 cage. So the other 3 digits are adding up to 18, which could be 5, 6, 7. Or there's an 8 in the cage. Right, okay, so there's no 8 in this cage. Because if you put 8 in, you need 18. We worked out you need 18 with the other 3 digits. So then you've got to make 10 with 2 digits that include this digit. Well, you can't make that 5 then, because you'd have to repeat the 5 in the cage. And if you make that 7, you'd have to repeat the 3 in the cage. So I think that cell is not an 8, which gives us a 5, 7 here. Which means I've got 13, these two have to add up to 9, so they've got to be a 3 and a 6, given one of them's already a 3. So this is 3, 6. These are not 6, therefore, so they are 2 and 4, which add to 6, so that's become a 7 out of nowhere. That becomes a 5 out of nowhere. That becomes a 7, because you can't repeat it, well, because it's got to be transposed or transported through the cage. Can't repeat this digit. These squares are now not 7s, they're 5s and 8s. Those cells are now known in the 14 cage. That's got to be the other way of making 11. So that's 3, 5, 6. This is 4, 7, 8. 4, 7, 8 in a 28 cage, which is this shape. So what's that saying? 4, 7 and 8 is 19. So these three digits add up to 9 without using 4. So they're not 2, 3, 4. They're either 1, 2, 6, which they're not, because this would have to be simultaneously a 1 and a 6. So it's 1, 3, 5, and I know where the 1 goes. Those three digits add up to 9. There's only 3 ways of doing it. This is the long-winded way of working this out. There's only 3 ways of making 9 in 3 different digits in Sudoku. 2, 3, 4, that doesn't work. 1, 2, 6, you can't make those a 1, 2, 6 triple. So it must be 1, 3, 5. This has got to be a 1. That's got to be 5. Let's make sure I don't misclick here. That's a 3. I've got a revealed another circle. I've got, which is not a 1 actually. And I've got a 15. Right, the 15 cage here is a 3-cell 15 cage because it includes this cell we can see from the cage, but it can't include that cell because if that cell was in the cage, then that 15 clue should be in that cell because it's a higher cell. So those 3 digits add to 15. These add up to 9, that's 24. These add up to 21, which may or may not include a 9. Oh no, it's simpler. Right, so this is where this 9 pencil mark comes in handy. Look, there's now a 9 in my 15 cage. So how do we make the other 6 that we need? Well, it's not 1, 5, so that must be 2, 4, 9. These squares have got to be 6, 7, 8 by Sudoku. 3 down here means I've got 3s and 6s going on. No 6 there, no 6 there. I get 6 here. Whoa! I've got a 9 now in one of these 2 cells by Sudoku. I've got... Oh, what I've got now is not much. I've almost filled in all of my white cells. It's got to be this digit, I think. Let me just stare at this for a minute. 1 is in one of those 2 cells by Sudoku. 6 is in one of those 3 cells by Sudoku. 2 is not there. 9 is not here. We don't seem to know much about 4s. Oh, wait a second. Have I made a mistake here? That can't be 1. This circle can't be 1 or 2. Well, it must be 3 then, which is a bit... I suppose it's in theory possible. It's counting the number of 9s in those 8 cells. And you can see that those 8 cells incorporate 3 rows of the Sudoku. So it is possible to put 3 9s into those 8 cells. In fact, okay, this is good. This is good. So because this must... well, let's deal with it. Because those 8 cells incorporate 3 rows only, the maximum number of 9s we could put in there is 3. We can't put 4 9s in 3 rows. So that digit, I think, is a 3. Yes. Now, next, what's this digit? Well, that digit is not 9. You can see that by Sudoku. And yet, if we think about this shape for a moment, I need to put a 9 in one of those 3 cells, I need to put a 9 in one of those 2 cells, and I need to put a 9 in one of those 3 cells in order to achieve my total of 3 9s. So one of the 9s must be there, which I think that's what that was. It was agreeing when it removed that cell. So that cell's now a 2 or a 4. And there's now got to be a 9 in one of those 2 cells, because we know there's a 9 in one of those 3 and it's not here. I've got the bones of a cage there. That's weird. Okay, hang on. No, I've got a 3's over there. It's weird because it's not really opened up the grid, has it? What am I missing here? Oh, I see. Right. Okay, so now we need to note that this one it needs to be an incorrect count. Because if it was a correct count of the number of 9s in those 8 cells, it would have a circle. There is most certainly not a circle in there, so it must be an incorrect count of 9s. So how does it become an incorrect count of 9s? By making that a 9. So I think those 2 have to be 9s, which is going to reveal more things. This is brilliant, isn't it? It's absolutely brilliant. That must put some sort of... This one, if we look at how many 9s we can put in those 8 cells, that can only be a 1 or a 2, because there are only 2 boxes involved in those 8 cells. This box could have a 9 and this box can have a 9, but there's no way of getting that to a total of 3. So that's got to be a 1 or a 2. We've got a Z pentomino here. We've got 9s in one of those 4 cells. So still absolutely got the possibility of this being a 2, I think. Oh, I see. Those digits have got to be... I actually know what they are. They're 2, 5 and 8 now. Oh, that does it. That does it simply. That's a 2, 5, 8 triple. So that's got to be a 1. You say, when I put the digits in, it's like, oh, please be right. So that's a 1. So there's no... Right, so this is quite interesting. So 9 in box 1 now. This is the correct count of 9s, and it's already got its 9. So those are not 9s. Those are not 9s. That's not a 9 because of this 9. So there's a 9 in a domino, which means that's not a 9. I can hear Maverick. I haven't heard Maverick for a while. So this is a 9. Good film, Maverick, as well. I enjoyed your film very much. 2, 4, 7 and 8 into those positions. I'm just going to have a look at that. Yeah, this is why I never like putting loads of pencil marks in. That's a totally bogus thing to look at. It's not done anything at all. Okay. Well, what on earth am I meant to do now? I'm trying to see. Is there something obvious I'm meant to do? No, 9s in this box, look, are a bit restricted. They are in one of 2 places. I've got no idea. There must be something. Oh, I know what it's going to be. Oh, that's really clever. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, I love that. Right, this is beautiful. So, what I had not thought about at all was the shape of this cage. And the moment you start to think about the shape of this cage, you realise something. Why is there no total in it? Well, that's because we've not revealed yet the top leftmost cell of this cage. Where is the top leftmost cell? Well, it must be at least in row 2. Well, how do we get to row 2 from here? Well, the closest I could get to row 2 would be there, by doing that and making a sort of Loch Ness monster in the grid. Well, I think I must do that, because if I don't do that, it's more than 9 cells to get to this one. And we know that we cannot repeat a digit in a cage, so the maximum size of a cage is 9 cells. So this makes that shape. We build Nessie in the grid. And why does that look interesting? Well, that 9 now can't repeat in Nessie, and that's going to give us a 9. And if I'm right, it's going to reveal a cage total, I think, there. Yeah, that's lovely. So this is the 45 gauge, which means that's a 9. That's going to reveal all sorts of jiggery poker over here. And a circle. Well, that circle must be a 1, because it can only possibly see 1, 1, 9. So 1 is now in this domino, on top of another domino of 1-age. Although that can't be a 1 now. Yeah, okay, so look at Nessie. We can only put 1 1 in Nessie, and there's a 1 in Nessie's domino here. So that can't be another 1 in Nessie. So that seems to have to be a 1 now in box 1, which means that's a 1. And actually, we've only got 2. We've only got 2 cells left to reveal. We've almost cleared the fog, which is quite exciting. I've done all the 9s. Have I done all the 1s as well? I've done all my 9s, all my 1s. So does that mean I don't have to worry about this funny rule anymore? What are we saying? No, we aren't. No, I do still have to worry about it, don't I? Yes, in fact, that cell. Yeah, that cell is not a 2. Because if it was a 2, in those 8 cells there are 2 2s, so it should have a circle, so it cannot be a 2. So we probably need to check all of the possible 2s in the grid just to see whether they are touching, or they could be touching, 2 9s. Like this one. If that's a 2, there's definitely exactly 2 9s in those cells, so that cannot be a 2 because there's no circle. So there is definitely a 2 over here now in box number 4, which means there's oh, that's beautiful. Good grief! Look now. Where does 2 go in box 5? I think it has to go there. Which, well, is that, maybe that doesn't do as much as I was thinking. I was wondering whether that was putting pressure on Nessie's 2, because those can't be 2s now, and these can't be 2s because of this 2 pencil mark. So 2 in Nessie is definitely in one of those 3 positions, but Nessie's sort of mouth can still have a 2. Yeah, that's okay, isn't it? That can be a 2 because these 9s, well, this 9 isn't close enough. So we'd only have 1. If this was a 2, it would be an incorrect count of 9s, which is correct, paradoxically. Oh, I see. Right. Okay, where does 2 go in this box? And the answer is, I don't exactly know. But I know enough to be interesting, because 2 is not there. If this is a 2, we're counting 9s in those cells, and there are 2 of them. So there should be a circle if that's a 2. So those are not able to be 2s, which means there's a 2 in one of those positions, which means that cell is a 4. That cell is a 2. That cell is not a 4. There's a 7-8 pair. So these squares are 2s, 3s and 5s, I want to say. Which... oh, I see. No, that's beautiful. That's really cool. So now, this cell, how could that be 2 or 5? Well, it can't be. It would repeat in its cage. So that cell is an 8. And it's in a 39 cage. Right, I'm not sure what that means yet, but the first thing I can see, actually I can see that's a 5, so let's do that, and that's a 2. That gives me my 2 in Nessie. But the other thing I was thinking is, where does 8 go in box 3 now? It can't repeat in its cage, so it's in one of these 2 cells, which means 8 is in one of those 2 cells in box 1. Have we had the 8 in Nessie yet? No. 8 in Nessie is... I think there are still options, actually. Okay. So can we do maths then? We know that these 7 digits sum up to 31, don't we? So in order to make the box add to 45, those have to add up to 14. One of them's an 8, so this must be a 6-8 pair. Okay, and we can do that actually using the power of 6 in the bottom of the grid. So that's 6, that's 8, that's 7, that's 8, that's 7. This is 4, that's 8. These two squares have got to be a 4 and a 7, which apparently is not resolved. That's not 2, that's not 5. We can... 3 in Nessie is quite restricted, because this can't be a 3, and these can't be a 3, so there's definitely a 3 in Nessie in this domino, which means that's not a 3, that's not a 3. Can we do any better than that? Quite possibly. And the way we're going to improve upon things is in the following way. Come on, brain, think of the way. Think of the way, brain. Don't let me down again. Oh, Bobbins face. I don't know. Okay, so what could it be? I suspect it's all got to be about Nessie now. And there's going to be some reason why it's difficult to put certain digits into Nessie. Let me think about how that could work. 4 and 2. Oh no, 2 we've put in Nessie. 4 in Nessie is either making a 3-4 pair here, which I think is possible, or it's putting a 4 here, which would be also very useful. That would then be a 4. Okay, I can't see how to exactly resolve that, I'm afraid. What about oh, hang on, what have I done wrong here? I've got an 8 in this row, so I can remove 8s from all of these squares. That's still okay. I probably haven't made a mistake, because that does seem to have revealed a triple, which is useful. In fact, then I've got 2. Ah, that's it. Now I've got a 2-4 pair in column 2. So now a better question is, where does 4 go in Nessie? There's only one place left. So that's a 4, that's a 4, that's a 7. I still haven't revealed that digit, have I? 4 can't repeat in Nessie, so that becomes a 4. It still doesn't want to tell me what this digit actually is. Really? Are you still being... It's still being recalcitrant, isn't it? You naughty old puzzle. Okay, let's have a look at this box then. We need 3, 6 and 7. So 6 must go there. This is a 3-7 pair, which means that cell has become a 4 out of nowhere. That's great, because that means this is a 2. We reveal a very underwhelming square, which had nothing in it at all. But I'm still pleased. Right, there's a 7 now in this domino. So 7... Right, so where does 7 go in box 1? I've suddenly realised it can only go in one place, which completes the 7, completes the 3. We don't have to be careful about typos anymore, because we've revealed all the fog. That is a 2 or a 5. And what about this box then? 5, 7 and 8. So I can't actually... That might be doable, but I can't immediately see how to do it. This is 5... Oh, there's a 5-8 pair now, because we know we need a 7 in here for Nessie and for row 4. So this square seems to have to be a 7 in column 5, which means that is not a 7. We get left with a 5-8 pair. So these are from 5, 6 and 8. Let's put that in. I can see this one can't be 8. So this is 5 or 6, but there's still no repeated digit in Nessie that we can use to help us out there. Oh, this being a 2 gives me some 2s and 4s. So 2 is in the corner, no song for you. That's a 5, that's a 3, that's a 2. So that digit is now a 3 by Sudoku. And these digits are 5, 6 and 8. Let's put that in and see what we can do. That's not 8. There's a 5, 6 pair in this column, so this has become a 3. So that's a 3, and we can get this digit as well. We've not put 4 into this column. So that becomes a 4, that becomes a 3. This has got to be 5 or 8. Oh wow, okay, fair enough. There's more trickery to be done here. Those two cells, they both see that digit. What do I mean by see? Well, if this is 5, that's 6, and this could be neither 5 nor 6 because it would see the 6 through the medium of Nessie. so that's got to be an 8, and if that's an 8, is that going to go through the grid? It might do, you know. It might do. That's a 5. That's an 8. Nessie is finished. That's an 8. That becomes 5. That becomes 6. That becomes 6. Yeah, that does it. That does it. What a brilliant puzzle. Let's click tick. Yay! Absolutely brilliant. Foggy Ninefield by Albin Bernhardsson. That was, again, sensational. These fog of war puzzles, the ones I'm getting recommended to try anyway. The last one was Fogrotto, I think, by Math Pesto, and that was stellar. That was really hard. This was slightly easier than that, but no less beautiful, and that means it was very beautiful. It's just really clever. It's just really clever that you can start with just that cell, and yet, you know, it sort of flows in that logical way. I absolutely love that. My favourite bit, I'm not sure. There were a couple of bits I thought were really cool. This being a 3 was very surprising, and then the little 9 X-wing being resolved. Oh yeah, no, and then this cage poking up into this cell and resolving, allowing me to put a 9 here. That was really beautiful. It's just quality stuff. Loved it. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.